And I thought I did a reasonably good job, but I have not been invited back. So I get the message. For those of you who were not here then, or remain in any doubt, I think I will convince you momentarily that I'm not a preacher. There is a bright side to that. Not being a preacher, I do not preach very long. So you're welcome. It's especially embarrassing for me to be standing in a pulpit while two distinguished preachers are seated. Ron, my own pastor and friend for 44 years, and my younger brother Homer, recently retired from 27 years service as minister of the First Christian Church of Liberty, Kentucky. I thought we were supposed to retire in order of seniority. Homer beat me to it. He and his wife Shar are here, as Ron said, my sister Helen. We're celebrating Carl's birthday, 60th birthday. His wife's here. Jonathan's here, Joshua, Kristen. This is a family reunion for us. Stephen is here, of course. And we've been telling stories last night and reminiscing once again about our growing up. I thought about being a preacher one time when I was a little boy. I thought preacher was mostly about talking. I thought I could do that okay. But it turns out it's about ministering to people. And I thought, I don't think I'm cut up for that. And I was listening to Homer last night talk about his ministry, his retirement, and how he still finds meaning and purpose in counseling people. And I thought to myself, yep, I should not have been a preacher. Because not only would I not find meaning and purpose in it, the burdens that others carry seem heavy to me. And I'm glad Homer is there to help, and Ron and others have helped us so much. When we were growing up, the boys shared a bedroom. Helen, who's the baby, had her own separate, large bedroom to herself. It was separate. It was large. We harbor no resentment. She deserved special treatment because, as we used to tell her, she was not one of us. The police brought her. One of my responsibilities each night as the elder brother in the upper bunk was to lead Homer and Carl in their bedtime prayers. And I would often look below or across the room where Homer and Carl were fast asleep rather than praying. Very disappointing. Should that happen this morning, somebody poke him in the back. Who is Jesus is the question Ron wants us to ask ourselves for a while. Perhaps we should begin by asking him who he is. That's what you do when you meet someone you don't know. You ask them who they are. They'll tell you their name, maybe where they live, what they do, where they're from, where they went to school, something about their family, and then if you want more, become better acquainted, you'll want to know about their likes and dislikes, how they feel about important things, like jalapenos, country music, Chevrolet or Ford, UT football, Clinton or Trump. Maybe that's as far as you get. I do feel empty at funerals sometimes when the speakers merely recite things about what the deceased did and do not remind us of who he was, as if we were burying a resume rather than the remains of a person. So who's Jesus? Well, here's the resume. He was born about 2,020 years ago in Bethlehem, and raised in Nazareth, then and now obscure little towns in the Middle East. Mary's mother, Joseph, his stepfather, carpenter, were ordinary working class people. He lived at home until he was 30, never married, had no children. At that point, he began preaching and teaching, mostly between Galilee and Jerusalem, an area about twice the size of the Metroplex. That's all. That's as far as he got. He wasn't physically attractive. He was a powerful speaker, but not dramatic. He developed a following of sorts because of his views and because he could heal people and perform miracles, though some thought they were fake. He never made a living. His eccentricities were concerning to his mother and siblings and offensive to religious and political leaders. Some thought he was crazy. Some thought he was dangerous. And after 3 years, he was arrested on trumped-up charges, tried in 2 kangaroo courts, and executed by crucifixion between 2 thieves. All in all, not much of a resume, except, of course, for miracles. But as I say, some thought they were false. Some still think they were fake. What's beyond a resume? With a few people, you go deeper. What are their dreams? What are their fears? Their hopes, their successes, failures? Whom do they love? What do they want to have to show for their life? Where's their heart? But that can get pretty personal and maybe embarrassing. And it may be that the person you're asking about doesn't know themselves and thought much about it. Not long ago, a friend of mine and I were worshiping in another church out of town, and the preacher asked the congregation, "Why are you here?" And he meant by that, why are you here on earth? What is your purpose in life? I looked around, several people looked puzzled. They seemed to be wondering, what, am I in the wrong pew? Is this not Sunday? I thought this was Sunday. And a few were nodding as if they thought, well, that's a real question for you. And my friend didn't say much at the time, but sometime later she emailed me one morning at the crack of dawn. She had not been able to get the question out of her mind. Why are you here? And it bothered her that she had never thought to ask it of herself and didn't know how to answer it. She'd stayed up all night wrestling with it and wanted me to know. We don't let everyone inside. We may not go there much ourselves. Jesus' heart, he opened to us. It was for God. He had a heart for God, for people. He cared. He loved kids. Loved people who were hurting. He told the truth. He spoke plainly. He was not tactful. He didn't mince words. He was serious. He was funny. He was scary smart. He said things off the cuff that are quoted to this day throughout the world, like "Render unto Caesar." Where did he come up with that? I've got notes. I need the notes. He didn't. He told great stories: the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son. He hated injustice and poverty and sickness and sin, especially sin. He was a loyal friend. He was quiet. He prayed a lot. He wanted everyone to know God. He was gentle. He was strong. He was good. Who are you? Besides what you do and what's inside, you're part of a family. You've always been Papa's girl, someone will say. You've got your mama's eyes. Somebody said to me as I was coming up here, they pointed over to Homer and made us up around as if we're related. You can tell we're related. Neither of us is particularly happy about that, but it is what it is. I was once stunned to see a picture, a photograph mother's grandfather. We could have been twins. It's a 19th century picture, very old. The likeness was eerie. It was like a cord connecting us somehow. Two people far away from each other, different centuries. It was amazing. Homer, Carl, Helen, and I loved nothing better than to sit and tell stories of growing up and of our parents and grandparents. We spent hours researching our ancestry, our family tree, back centuries to Hanover, Germany. Knowing our family reassures us of who we are. Descendants of farmers, people of the soil, quiet, hardworking, simple, God-fearing. Now there's a new way to discover who you are. DNA testing. Seen it? For just $199, go online, get the kit, send it to you, take a sample of your DNA, send it off to be tested. It may tell you whether you're more Irish or more Brazilian, or whether you'll end up having white hair or no hair, or that you like coffee, or help you find lost family members. My brothers and I could use the service to prove once and for all that the police really did bring help. Just $65 a piece. DNA could forecast health disorders, tell you what you're likely to get. Might be good to know. Might not be. Maybe you think you have a pretty good idea of who you are, but the rest of us are skeptical. Just who do you think you are? Our implication being that you're not all you're cracked up to be. Jesus was asked that question in just that way. As John later recalled, Jesus was in the temple when the scribes and Pharisees brought in a woman who had been caught in the very act of adultery. They tried to get Jesus to condemn her, but he said, "He who is without sin should throw the first stone." And her accusers drifted off. He continued to teach, John says, and many believed him. Many believed him. But others were resentful. They thought he was uppity. They themselves were children of Abraham, they said. They were as godly as he was. Jesus responded, "Godly is as godly does." And if they followed him, they would never see death. And then, as John wrote in chapter 8, at verse 52, the Jews said to him, "Now we know you've got a demon. Abraham died, as did the prophets, and yet you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? Who do you think you are?" And Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. Before Abraham was, Jesus said, I am. I am. You know, that's God's name. I am. Moses, you remember back in Exodus chapter 3, was tending sheep in the desert in Midian. He looked up, he saw a bush burning. It wasn't burning up because God was in it, turns out. He goes over to see what it is. They strike up a conversation. God told him to go back to the Israelites who were in Egypt, where Moses, was wanted for murder. He wasn't too anxious to go back there. He had lots of questions. For a fellow who couldn't speak very well, Moses asked a lot of questions, particularly when he didn't want to go somewhere. And one of them was this: if the Israelites want to know God's name, Moses asked, what should he say? And God said, I am who I am. Tell them I am sent you. I am is God's name. But Jesus was not asked his name. Everyone knew his name was Jesus of Nazareth. The Jews asked Jesus who he thought he was. Who do you think you are? And that's the question Jesus answered. Who do you think I am? I am. I'm God. That's what I told Moses. The Gospel of John was written in Greek, but Jesus actually spoke Aramaic, which is a language kind of like Hebrew. And that was the language of Exodus. So when Jesus answered, I am, quite likely the word he uttered was the same word God uttered to Moses in the burning bush. I came long before Abraham, Jesus told the Jews. Before Abraham, I am. So you've got to get the scene now. The obnoxious, know-it-all, holier than thou crowd gathered around. Jesus, always the teacher, trying to reason with them. Some of it's kind of pointed, but he's trying to get through to them. And you're watching them, and they're smirking, this hick-uppity preacher. And they ask the snarky question, who do you think you are? And you look over at Jesus, and you watch his face, and you listen, and you hear him answer, I am. Before Abraham was, I am. It's stunning. Takes your breath away. He wasn't exaggerating. He didn't misspeak. Later he repeated it. I and the Father are one. He meant it. Who does Jesus think he is? He thinks he is I am. Let's face it. This guy wacko, or con artist, or demonic, or he's telling the truth. Someone claims to be God, that's your four choices. The Jews that day picked number 3, demonic. You're here because you think you picked number 4, that Jesus was telling the truth, that he really is the great I am, that he really is God. So let's go with that. What does it mean for Jesus to be not just Joseph and Mary's son, not just a powerful teacher, not even just a miracle worker? What does it mean for him to really be I am? First, that God has an identity, like a person, not some abstract force, like Aristotle's prime mover, something out there in the ether, some amorphous deity off somewhere. He has a name, has a personality, I am. Second, God is timeless. The Hebrew words that God spoke to Moses from the burning bush are hard to translate into English. We usually write them, I am that I am, present tense. But Hebrew and English tenses don't match up. Someone has suggested that the Hebrew words really mean I was, who I am, who I will be. I am who I was, who I am, who I will be. I will be who I was, who I am, who I will be. God always simply is. He has no origin, no finish. He's Alpha and Omega. Jesus said to John in Revelation, referring to the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, the beginning and the end. Jesus said, before Abraham, I am. But he could just as easily have said, before the Milky Way galaxy, I am. Before the Big Bang, I am. Without origin, God is without end. And who is Jesus? I am. Third, because Jesus is I am, he's alive. His death on the cross was not the end. It's more of a beginning. But in reality, it was the manifestation, the occurrence of what has always been true. Jesus gave his life not just one spring afternoon nearly 2,000 years ago. He was slain from the foundations of the world, John says in Revelation, from before he spoke creation into existence. Because Jesus is I am, he has always loved us, always wanted us to be with him. Because Jesus is I am, he will return to us here on this earth. There will be a shout, a trumpet call, the dead shall be raised, and we who remain shall rise to meet him in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. He will cleanse and restore creation. He will redeem his own. We know nothing but time. Every verb has a tense. My family's enjoyed reminiscing, remembering the days gone by, to do some more. People who left us, departed, folks. Mary, whom some of you knew, Papa. For God, all that has happened is, and all that will happen is. It's hard to even conceive, let alone understand, that Jesus joined us in time, came here with us. For a while, days passed for him as they do for us. Things happen, good things, bad things changed. And yet he was never that far from his timelessness, the timelessness he left to be with us. He might have answered the Jews that day, before Abraham, I was. At first, that's what they were thinking. That's what they thought he meant. And they were asking him, how can you be that old? But he wasn't giving his age. Jesus is not old. He's timeless. Before Abraham, he said, I am. That timelessness removes God very far from us. He is not like us. He is apart, transcendent. We don't know even where timelessness is. Einstein taught us that time isn't fixed. The faster we speed up, time slows down. Very hard to even think about that. If we could go as fast as light, Einstein said, 186,000 miles a second, time would stop. But we can't go that fast. Nothing can go that fast. Nothing in this universe. And so all we know is time. And yet, while I am means that God is where time is not, someplace else, something other, a place we don't go, a place we can't go. I am also means that he is physically present with us, immanent, here, always and everywhere, not off somewhere, but somehow with us. Here this morning, I am, God told Moses moments after God assured him, I will be with you. Though he is I am, though that's even hard to understand, he is with us. He is with us by his choice. I am, Jesus said, and I will never leave you or forsake you. The psalmist wrote, whether I go down to heaven, up to heaven, or down to the grave, you, God, are there. And what a comfort that is. Whenever you're alone, or afraid, or want someone with you, Jesus is that someone. He is there. He is right here. Right here. I am never changes. Doesn't get moody, nibble up, doesn't have a bad hair day. It's constant, always there. Yesterday, today, forever. Jesus is the same. The hymnist wrote, all may change, but Jesus never, glory to his name. He knows all things, controls all things. In him we live and move and have our being. Who is Jesus? When he was asked, he answered, I am. I am is who Jesus is. When the Jews heard Jesus say those words that day, they were furious. So angry, they wanted to throw rocks at him, maybe kill him. This was a rough crowd. Chapter 8 starts out with them wanting to throw rocks at a woman. And it ends with them wanting to throw rocks at Jesus. So this is kind of a rock-happy crowd. They believed in the Second Amendment of sorts. Just checking to make sure everybody's still. They were so angry, they were so enraged that they wanted to throw a rock at him. Now, I don't know if you throw rocks at people. I mean, literally, not figuratively. We all figuratively throw rocks at people. we shouldn't, but when we were growing up, we got to play out in the fields. We were up on the farm. And there's nothing better than a clod fight, I'll tell you. Boys can really get into a clod fight. And we would go out and throw clods at each other. Those were the rules. You were supposed to throw clods at each other. But if you found an especially hard rock, you might throw that too. You might get caught up in the energy of it. But typically, it's hard for people to imagine throwing a real physical rock at somebody that wanted to hurt them. But that's what they wanted to do. And still, it could have been worse. Worse than insane, murderous rage. Yep, could have been worse. Could have been worse than that. Because at least they cared. Reenact the same scene here in 21st century America, and the reaction would more likely be indifference. As Ron reminded us last week, we're much more likely to dismiss Jesus' statement as just another nutty opinion. Most of what we hear, most of what we say, is opinion. Facts are like Pokemon these days. You can find them hiding here and there, but they're awful hard to spot. If we thought it was a fact that Jesus is I am, that he is very present, as he always has been and always will be, that he is to be worshipped and adored as God himself, then, as Jesus told the Jews that day, we would behave as if we did. For starters, we would pray without ceasing. We couldn't wait a moment to talk with him every minute of the day, and most importantly, to have him talk back beyond words. Might also be uncomfortable. Because having been asked who he is, he will turn the question to us. Who are you? Who are you, Nathan? Not your name, where you grew up, where you went to school, not your job, not your successes, your failures, not your resume, not your hopes and fears, not even your family, not even your ancestry. Who are you, Nathan? In my mind, I hear him ask. And I see his eyes, feel like I do. Feel like I can touch his hand. I know he already knows the answer. I know he knows me to my son. Far better than I will ever know myself. But I also know he wants to hear from me. He wants me to say, who am I? I want to answer with all my heart. I am yours. I am, Father. We are grateful that you have shown us who you are when we hardly know ourselves who we are. So show us yourself in us and all those who believe in you and in our world of trouble. We pray in Jesus' name.
It's hard for us to believe after Jesus said, I am the bread of life, that people left. They turned on their heels and walked away. And maybe in this room this morning are some who have done the same. Turned on your heels and walked away from I am. Today we're asking you to stop and turn around and walk back. Walk into his presence. Experience his forgiveness. Experience his grace and his love. If you'd like to receive Jesus, the I am, this morning as your Savior, if you want to join our church family, if you just want us to pray for you this morning, that's what we want to do. Let's all stand together.